The 5 steps to problem solving. This is what we're going to be using a whole lot in class this year as far as thinking. So there are 5 steps that we're going to be thinking about when we're trying to solve a problem. So the first thing we want to do is understand. In order to do that, we need to read what we're being asked to do. Whether it's a word problem or a number problem like this one is, then we're still going to read it. And we need to think about what we're being asked and what is the task. So right now, if we look, we can see that this says 3 times 7 equals something. I know that the multiplication symbol means that I should do something, and I know that equal means something. And this is when I start moving into the second step, which is analyze. I'm going to analyze this information. I'm going to see what all I know about this information, and I'm going to use my own knowledge. I'm going to ask myself things like, what do I already know about multiplication? What do I do if I don't know anything about multiplication? Which math category does it fit into? And then if it's operations are like adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. How do I know it's that? This one's pretty easy because the operation is right here. It is multiplication. It fits into the math category of numbers and operations. And then obstacles that might make it hard for me is if I don't know anything about multiplication. So I want to look up notes that I know about multiplication if I didn't know anything about it at all. So I'm going to look at 3 times 7. I know that multiplication is repeated addition. I know that it is skipped counting. And I know that it is making equal groups. I also know that it's arrays. So I can use any of those pieces of knowledge to solve this problem. I know that the equal sign means that whatever is over here needs to be the same as what's over here. So now I'm done with the analyzing parts. These are parts that you do automatically, but you don't realize that you're doing this step, analyzing. So then, since you've analyzed it, you're ready to strategize. You can start to think, okay, what is my plan to solve this problem? Usually a plan involves pictures or what we call representation of what's going on. How can I show my work? So if no one's with me and I give my work, how can I show that I know the answer to this problem, or I know how to get the answer to this problem? And then what number sentence can I make? Well, this number sentence is always already here for me, so I don't need to worry about making that. But I do need to think about how I can organize. So one of the first things I said is that I know that multiplication is repeated addition. I could choose any of the options that I have to make this. So in this case, I am just going to use repeated addition. I know that 3 times 7 is the same as 3 groups of 7. So I'm going to add 7 plus 7 plus 7. And I'm going to figure out what that is using repeated addition. Now, that's not a picture. That's using numbers to solve. If I wanted to take it a different way, I could make 3 groups, and I could put 7 in each group. So these are 2 separate ways that I could use. I can use an array that has 3 rows with 7 in each. So there are many things that you could do to represent 3 times 7. And I'm kind of going into my problem there. But you get the idea. So I have arrays, equal groups, repeated addition. I could just skip count by 3 7 times. So those are my strategies that I could use. And so now I'm going to start to show my work in these strategies. I'm going to start solving this problem using the strategies that I have. So I know that in this, if I'm going to use my equal groups, in this group right here, I have 7. And then I can move on and count on. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then this last group, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So now I'm beginning to solve this problem by using counting, which is something that I know. I could also go back to my addition and add 7 plus 7, which is 14, and then add 14 plus 7, which together I know that 14 plus 7 gives me a total of 21. If I didn't know that, I could count by 1 too. So these are all strategies. Here, I could count the total number. I have 3 rows that go across and 7 columns that go vertically. And then I can count the total dots that are in that. All in all of the ways should get me to 21. So, or to my answer, whatever that is. So I know that my answer is 21. Notice I didn't just solve the problem. I read the problem, I analyzed the problem, I strategized about how I could do it, made sure I showed work for it, I solved the problem. And this is one step that many people mainly forget, is checking your work. In checking my work, that means I do the same problem all over again, but I use a different method. So say repeated addition was something that I chose initially to do the work. I might want to go ahead and draw equal groups when I'm checking my work to make sure that they both match and I have the same answer. And I'm going to ask myself, does my answer make sense? If I'm multiplying and I know that multiplying numbers means repeated addition, then I know I'm going to have a bigger answer or a bigger number than what I started with. Does 21 make sense in my head? And in my head, I can say it does make sense because it is a bigger number. And when I think about the fact that it could be groups, 3 groups of 7, when I think about that, that makes sense in my head too. And so if I'm doing multiple choice, I want to answer, does my answer match the question? So if it matches what I was being asked to do, multiplying, I don't have a smaller answer, then I know I've done the right thing. In a multiple choice, if my answer was not there, I would go back and check again. And that is the 5 steps of problem solving.